Hello and welcome to Inside Lines podcast. I'm your host, Atoya Burleson.
And I am Tia.
Coming up a bit later in the show, we'll be chatting with each other. We'll also be getting into our hot take this week where we'll discuss Brett Favre and the allegations into misuse of welfare funds. But first, Tia, how was your weekend?
Well, my weekend is good, y'all. As y'all can see, we are actually in person. I came out to New Jersey so Atoya and I could host a ladies' dinner, which we'll share a little bit about here shortly. Yeah. But I like being in New Jersey.
I like when you're in New Jersey.
I mean, it is a lot better when we're like able to vibe and feel each other's chemistry. Yes. I feel like the conversations go a whole lot smoother.
I agree. It's just like that connectivity, like in person, just brings out the best in us. And I think our conversations go all over the place, which is fun.
Yes. And actually, next time I feel like we need to be like wearing a lapel mic during the entire trip because we be having the most random, like in-depth conversations. So it's good.
And we're like, dang, I wish that was on camera.
Yep.
Yes. All right, enough about that. Let's get into this week's hot take. All right, it's time for this week's hot take. Tia, what you got?
Okay, so this week we'll be talking about the former NFL quarterback and Hall of Famer Brett Favre. Okay, so are you up to speed on this a little bit?
I'm up to speed. The only thing that I did not read were the text messages because that's the one question I have. Like, okay. How much did he really know? So tell everybody what's going on.
So what Atoya is referring to is Brett Favre. We just found out that Brett Favre received almost $8 million in welfare funds to fund a volleyball stadium at his alma mater, University of Southern Mississippi, but also that he received a $1.1 million payout for himself, right? And so when this came out, I guess it's been over a year when this first came to light, right?
Yeah.
When this first came out, the question was, okay, well, he received this money for speaking engagements that he did not do. But nobody knew if he actually was aware, like, this is where the funding is coming from. Mm-hmm. Well, the lady he was in business with, her name is Nancy New. She was the director of a nonprofit that was over the disbursement of this assistance. Text messages, because she pleaded guilty along with her son, right? She released the text messages in which they do not explicitly say he knew that these were welfare funds, but there were some other key things within those messages, like, hey, do you think the media will find out? Because he wanted to avoid this. There was actually several levels. Because so when he first asked for money, it was like $5 million. And then as he got to working with the athletic director, was like, oh, it's going to be an extra $1 million. Oh, actually, it's an extra $2 million almost. So all of this is in text messages, along with messages between him and the former governor, Phil Bryant, right? So when you start putting context to everything that's going on, it looks as if he knew that he was receiving money that was questionable, right, to say the least, to the point where when an auditor resigned, he was concerned on if the new auditor would be okay with the rest of the transferring of money. Now, all of this is just a small piece in a larger scheme, right? So the new Mississippi State auditor raised questions after they discovered the previous situation, the previous governor, previous auditor had misused $77 million worth of welfare funding.
Unbelievable.
All right. So, Atoya, do you think Brett was wrong for receiving this money?
Yeah. I mean... Okay. I feel like if in the text messages he was concerned because he knew this money was coming from somewhere, even if he doesn't know it's coming directly from the welfare fund, right? So you know you're getting this money somewhere that you're not supposed to receive it. So why are you accepting it?
So, okay. So you think the way in which he received it was a problem?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Because he knew he knew that it was coming from a place where it wasn't supposed to be coming from.
Okay.
And so because of that, and before I was like, well, maybe the governor did this and just gave him the money because they wanted him to have it or whatever the case may be. But if it shows in text messages,
he is a hometown hero.
Right. Yeah. But if it shows in text messages that he knew and he was concerned, he should have went with his gut and said no. So pay it back, Brett. What about you?
So I'm not going to lie. Originally, I was not Okay, when they said it was welfare funding, of course, I was like, yo, that's a problem. Because, you have an issue right now with the Jackson water crisis. Like,
exactly.
there's other things in this state that money could have went to. But, like, there's grants and things that you can write to the state, to the federal government to get funding for just about anything, right? It's all in who you know, if you are aware of the grants and things of that nature. So before I heard the welfare part, I wasn't mad at him. I'm like, okay, so he uses connections to get a grant to fund the volleyball stadium that his daughter went to school, where his daughter went to school, where he was an alma mater, like all the things. Now, as more details came out, where it's like, okay, well, this is actually welfare funds. You were supposed to do PSAs. You were supposed to do speaking engagements. You didn't do any of that. Him and like some other pro wrestlers in the area, like all of them received some sort of funding that they knew was questionable.
Right.
So yeah, I guess
that's the part, questionable. Like if you're, and is it their job to ask where the money comes from? Maybe not. Maybe they didn't get into the detail of that.
That's where his mistake was.
Right, but them text messages say otherwise.
Yeah, no, literally.
Y'all let us know what y'all think. Do y'all think Brett should pay the money back?
Well, okay, so what Atoya is referring to is there's a civil lawsuit that the state filed.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, no. So he is not facing criminal charges. However, there is a civil lawsuit that the state filed against him, along with several wrestlers that I just mentioned, to recover almost $20 million worth of misused funds. So,
yeah. Do you think that they're going to do it?
If he's going to lose,
they're going to pay it back.
Hell yeah, hopefully it don't even get to a point where a judge has to make a settlement. Hopefully, Brett, you played 20 seasons in the NFL, you're a Hall of Famer, you got the money. Hopefully, he just pays it back and
keeps it moving.
Go hide in the corner. Yeah.
Real talk. So, okay, here's my question to you before we go on. Does he need to pay back the $8 million as well as the money they gave him, the $1 million that he received, or do you think that he only should pay back?
He just need to go ahead and give it all back, because all of it came from welfare funding, so misuse of funds.
Yeah.
So in order for him to have a clean slate, he should just give it back. But let's keep in mind, Brett had some questionable things occur over the years. So
listen here,
his track record is not too strong.
And they continue sweeping it under the rug.
Yeah,
like it never existed.
I mean, he's a quarterback, a Hall of Famer, and hometown hero.
Let us know, y'all. Should Brett pay back the money?
Yes.
All right. Enough about that. Coming up next, let's talk to you. We're going to have conversation. We're going to get to, we're going to talk about things that other people, the listeners, the fans may not know.
Absolutely.
So y'all stay tuned. On the show today, we have the co-hosts of Inside Lines podcast, Tia and Atoya. It's so weird, like
Atoya's
introducing
doing a full
ourselves.
interview.
We are so grateful for all of our new listeners, people that, have joined us in fantasy football, and they don't really know us because when we first introduced ourselves, that was 4 seasons ago.
And to be honest, we archived that season, so you won't see those.
Yeah,
or listen to those, any of it.
So we need to share with them who we are and get to know. Let them get to know who we are. Yes. So let's start. Here we go. You ready?
Right. Yep. Let's go.
All right. Fun fact: Atoya and Tia. It's so weird talking about yourself in third person. Atoya and Tia are now entering. This is like our 4th season for Inside Lines podcast, and we curated this platform to share who we are, what we stand for, as well as we wanted to curate a platform for other women to come on and talk about who they are and share their insights. And we mix it in with a little bit of hot takes, as well as asking for friend advice and a little humor. Yeah, we do like to laugh.
Listen, I laugh at everything.
So this weekend we launched our first ladies dinner, which it was a ladies dinner podcast, y'all, and it was so fun. We had some amazing ladies, and I can't wait to share with you guys more. But it was so fun to just sit there and laugh and ask questions and talk and get to know them. And we also wanted to do this because we felt like building community and sharing with one another is so important. It's inspirational, it's encouraging, and it helps us to all come together and be on the same page. So that's kind of the latest that we've done.
Yep.
But now I'm going to get into the interview part. So Tia and I are going to interview each other. We're going to ask each other questions back and forth.
I'm putting Atoya on the hot seat, y'all.
Yes. and I love being in the hot seat.
All
right.
So
Should I start with the first question?
Yeah, you start.
All right.
When we can just bounce back and forth.
All right. My first question is, how did you enjoy being in the NFL?
Let's see.
And honestly, you can talk about the,
Yeah. So honestly, I enjoyed my NFL experience, right? I definitely think that I of course changed a lot over the course of the journey.
Oh, for
right?
sure.
So I speak all the time about when you hit different milestones in life, you become a different person. So Cliff was drafted. We lived separately. Independent career woman, all the things, moved in together. Now I'm taking on a different role that I didn't necessarily plan, because y'all know I'm an over planner. But, I've made some of the best decisions of my life, right? Like being able to raise my child in a 2-parent household, getting married, meeting lifelong friends, like really being able to pour into myself and pour into my extended family, happen in a different way because of the NFL. And then y'all know I like to travel, okay? So
we all.
Right. So outside of us just traveling personally, like the NFL has brought us to Europe. Like we've done London, overall UK several times. We've done Germany. We've been to the Super Bowl. Like we've gotten these experiences that people don't usually get the opportunity to do. So overall, I've enjoyed it.
Do you feel like because of all the experiences that you've had in the NFL, is that what started your, oh my gosh, I love to travel bug? Like, is that where it started, where you got a glimpse of that and you're like, this is me, I love this? Or did you have that in your mind before?
Yeah. Well, so I always knew I wanted to get out, right? So I was born in St. Louis, grew up in Indiana, went to school at Purdue, right, in Indiana. And I said, I'm like, when I graduate, I'm not going back home. Like, I'm going to some other state, right? So I knew that I wanted to get out and about, right? Moved to Tennessee and then moved to North Carolina. But that first year, the first time I traveled internationally was because of Cliff's agents. Like they sent us to Mexico.
Right.
I didn't, I had to get a passport, all these things I didn't have before. And I, stepped foot on that beach and I was like, oh,
I like this.
I like this. I like going through customs and stuff. So
real talk.
Definitely it planted the seed.
Yeah.
And I have been flourishing in it. So
yes, you love to travel. I do too. It definitely... It's a fun thing to experience new cultures and just a different environment. It really opens up your eyes and you realize how vastly huge the world is. So.
Right. And you realize how much of a bubble we live in America.
Yes.
Because you can talk to anybody, the cab driver in Paris or and some like a lady working in the NFL Europe office. She's like, oh, yeah, my daughter got stamps from 30 countries and she's 16.
Yeah.
And we sitting here like, well, we done been to 30 states.
Right.
Maybe.
I think we're
at
doing
40.
something. Oh, we went to Hawaii.
Right. And granted, I know somebody's going to say it's because, the U.S. is all the way over here and Europe is over there, which it makes it easier to get more stamps. But still, like they are just more open and willing to try new things. They don't go to another country and expect it to be like their home country, like we do. Like we think everybody's supposed to speak English.
Yes.
We think everything is supposed to be the same way.
So true.
In Europe as it is in America. So it's things like that where I'm just like extremely grateful for.
Yeah. Shout out.
Yes.
To all the travelers out there.
Okay, so Atoya.
Yes.
What do people misunderstand about you?
I would say they misunderstand maybe who I am in an overall arch of a woman, or being labeled as just Nate's wife.
Okay.
They don't understand that I had my own life and my own experiences, and that I graduated and got a master's and was working before Nate was even working. So I think they probably assume that I've always been just the wife that stayed at home and took care of the family, and that's just all that I am, when I've already had all these check marks in the boxes, as well as still have so many other check boxes that I still want to check off, right? So I am a Gemini, and I'd love to go and do. It's who I am to the core. I will always be that. I'm a busybody. So yeah, I'm not the woman that likes to stay at home and cook and clean. Now I do it because I have family, but there's so much more to me as a human being that, you know, I'm not just the NFL wife or Nate Burleson's wife. I think that's the biggest thing for me.
How do you feel like Nate contributes to people fully understanding that you're not just his wife?
Oh, that's a great question. I think when Nate was first in the league, he wasn't even worried about it. Like, he was so immersed into him being Nate Burleson, the football player, that he wasn't worried about me or the the kids and you know. And I'm not saying that in the sense that he didn't care. I'm just saying he was so immersed into who he was trying to be, what. And he was more present at home. I voiced to him what I was trying to do more of, and at first it was kind of like, oh, okay, but then the support, like, he understood, like, okay, that was 11 years that she's just been holding it down. Like, let me support her. Let me figure out how I can help. But I would say, it was not there in the beginning.
So you said when he retired, you voiced it. Did you voice it sooner?
I didn't voice it sooner because it wasn't possible. Okay. And I say that because, you know, people are like, oh, I don't understand why you can work. Well, we moved twice a year. So we were never, you know, we never really had a home. Like, Nate and I have moved. We lived the first 3 years in Minnesota. After that, we moved to Seattle, which is home for him. So we lived there for those 4 years. That's where I started, like, coaching again, coaching track and, like, working with kids. I did some modeling. I did what I could do. But then after that, we went to Detroit. You still had to be flexible. So I had to pick up and travel, you know, with the kids by myself, go to Detroit, 8 bags to the airport, you know, hold down the season, pack it all. We did Christmas there, pack it all up, and get back to Seattle so the kids could start school right after the new year. You know, so it was always a transitional life. And I didn't want to, one of us had to be stable. One of us had to be there with the kids and be home. And I knew that that was important for them. And I was okay with waiting a little bit longer. So I gave it until it was over. And, you know, and I knew for sure, like, are you sure? You sure you done? Okay.
Is your toe still in the water?
Right? Okay, so now we can talk about it. And I was okay with that. You know, in the beginning it's hard, but I think you get used to it and you understand the sacrifice is not forever, and you hang on to that, you know, until it actually comes in fruition. You're like, okay, here I am. Let's go. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you ready for my next question?
Yes.
Marriage is not easy. We all know you have to work at it daily. What advice would you give to other women that are in maybe the newlywed phase, or they're about to get married, and, you know, at some point there's going to be the ups and downs? What advice would you give to them?
Well, I say this all the time, but I think the biggest piece of advice I can offer is the fact that marriage is not a fairy tale. No matter how much you tell yourself or you see other people's lives playing out on social media or on TV for that matter, marriage is not a fairy tale. And marriage is work. It's hard work. It's a constant evolution and allowing yourself as well as your partner to evolve, and just being okay with that. Because I think that because of the fairy tale piece, when a couple hits the first speed bump, it's like, wait, did I marry the wrong person? You know what I'm saying? Or maybe there's a few speed bumps and you're like, yo, like, are we gonna make it? We gonna climb out of it, right? But every relationship takes work. And it's all about finding a partner who you don't mind doing the work with.
That's good.
So
that's really good. You know, I was thinking about what you said when you talked about being okay with the evolution and the changing of not just you as a couple, but individually, each other.
Yeah.
So what do you think of, or when you hear the notion of people say, well, we just grew apart?
Okay. So I don't necessarily, I think sometimes people have an inability to like use the right words, because I don't think there is a growing apart that occurs. I think there is a growing, and at some point you decided that you didn't like the way this person was growing.
That's good.
Right? So you're not growing apart. There's just a dislike for the new evolution of this person, or the new evolution of like where you are.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
And
Same
so
thing.
I think for everybody's phases through like all these changes, you have to relearn that person.
Yes.
And you have to re-fall in love, because sometimes you be like, wait, did I do this? Anyway, but you like, it's like you're falling in love with the same person, but a different person over and over again.
Yeah, because we do change over time. You know, I think about when we met, you know, 20s to 30s to 40s, we're completely different people.
Yeah.
And the things that you liked back then, you're like, no, I don't like that no more. So we're not doing that.
So I hate when people say, oh, you got some money and got new, or you
changed.
you didn't do this when we first got together. It's like, of course I didn't. Well, number one, got a little money, got some different experiences, like some new things.
Right.
Like
That's the whole point
just
of
life.
experiences.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
All right, what you got for me?
Okay, so what worries you most about the future?
Oh, what worries me most about the future? I would say, I think back to when I was a kid, and I feel like life was so much easier. Like we could go outside, we played till the lights came on, and you came back in.
Yeah.
There wasn't all these external experiences of the phone, the digital phone, social media, you know, all these different apps that we could get into. Everything was right in front of you that you experienced in real life, in real time. What worries me now is the digital world, and not just the digital world where kids are on and watching other kids, but it's like the politics behind things that are going on.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like the state of the world. I think to myself, like, gosh, I don't know. My worry is like, I don't know, you know, if I leave this earth, if my kids are inheriting a better world and a better place. Because the way politics are going right now, it's scary. We're going backwards right now. And there's, you know, they talk about, you know, gangs in LA. There's political gangs. There's so many things being done that are just maliciously wrong. And there's so much money being thrown around where politicians are not in it to serve the people. They're in it to serve their pockets.
Yeah.
So for me, I worry about that. Like when I leave, are these kids going to be like, as adults, you know, we think we're going to give them something better, but I don't know if that's the case.
Okay, so question. So two-part question. So number one, do you think the world is crazier, like, or in politics is getting crazier, more in death, more money, all the things, or do you think it existed before, we just didn't see it because we didn't have so much immediate access to what was going on?
So I definitely know that it existed before, hands down. I think the problem is it's gotten increasingly worse.
Okay.
And I think that you still had people that were in office that still meant good for they when they gave their oath, they truly gave an oath to serve the people. I think now there's a lot more people in office that are looking for the handouts and the money and doing it for the wrong reasons than there was in the past.
Okay.
So I think the evolution of politics has changed overall. And, you know, it's like getting jumped into a gang. Like, okay, well, if you come in, this is what you going to have to do and
they do and say it.
Yeah, and there's more of that. It's always been there, but I feel like it's just increasingly worse. And as an adult, you see it more. You have more access to seeing it more. Everything that happens, you find out quickly. I think before it was more kind of like, well, we'll just slide it underneath the table so nobody sees it. Now it's just out there.
Like they actually put forth an effort to try to hide it.
Yeah, not anymore.
Okay, so my second question or follow up to that is, if you left the world today, do you think your kids are equipped to handle the craziness?
That's a great question. Gosh, I think I would hope so. I talk to my kids about everything. I'm an open book. I didn't have that with my mom. So I feel like for them, I really try to talk to them about everything and give them the freedom and the space to talk about the things that are on their mind. To me, that is just so important. And my kids come to me about everything. Sometimes it's TMI, but I appreciate it and I don't judge them. And, you know, my favorite saying to my kids is, I love you no matter what. So I would say, especially my oldest, who is a senior, I
He
feel
about to leave, y'all.
Yeah, I feel like when he leaves, I feel like I've prepared him enough to the point where he can go out. He knows how to cook some meals if he's hungry. He knows how to do his laundry. We've talked about, the things that will happen in college, the things that he's going to see, and even things that he's seen now as in high school that I didn't necessarily see, at such a young age. We talk about those things. So I would say, yes, they're prepared. He's prepared. And luckily, my second son's right behind him, so he gets those lessons as well, which is so great. But yeah, I think those two definitely. My baby girl, 7th grader, probably not.
She's still a work in progress.
She's definitely a work in progress. But I would say if I left, they would be okay. And I also think that they're just good people to their core, and I feel like they would figure it out. I feel like they have the tools to even if I didn't have the chance to teach Mia, she could figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I would agree.
Yeah.
With that. Mia and I have had some very interesting conversations. Yeah. And you could tell she's a little lady, great. Solid. She has the foundation of solid values. So to your point, she knows what to lean on.
Yeah.
She knows what to lean on.
And she's funny.
Okay. Next question.
All right, this is a good one. What is the most juicy NFL story that you can recall, using no names, just like something juicy where you was like, what?
Gosh. Okay, so there's two.
Okay,
I'll just say the one.
Okay.
And I think it was juicy because I was like, oh, the audacity, but. There was a situation where a player was married, didn't have any kids, but he and his wife had been married for a few years. Come to find out, he had multiple mistresses at the game, like at the same game, just sitting in different sections. Like flew people in, spent time with them over the course of the weekend, like the night before you can't do anything, so you have an excuse. But yeah, he had them all in the stadium, and the wife didn't find out till after the fact, at which point she went and told everybody. Like any other player that she knew of that was doing the same thing, she went and told.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was as
I know thankfully, I always look for the silver lining. I'm like, thankfully, I didn't have no kids. She could get out and escape with like no extra stuff hanging on, because imagine having kids and you still have to see this
wait.
Don't say they had kids.
They actually had a kid at this point, but another person they told on did not, so she was able to escape.
Okay.
But
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was just one. What's the juiciest story you heard?
Ooh.
I think I know one of the juiciest stories you heard.
Yeah, I would say there's a particular player that he was married with kids, and he started a whole nother relationship as well, and ended up leaving his family to start a whole nother relationship with this person. And I think the juiciest part about that, or the craziest part about it, is you hear about people doing that all the time. But it was just the fact that he literally just completely abandoned his family.
Like, don't talk to him or anything?
And ended up...
Is that what you mean by, like, don't talk to him at all?
Like, is not a part of their lives, but spends all of his time now... Him and the female ended up not working out, but she had a baby. And he spends all of his time with this new child.
Okay.
But not with his 3 other kids.
So he's not with either mom now?
He's not with either mom, but he picks and chooses...
His favorites?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I would think that one was pretty juicy because there was there were some other things involved in there too, but that one to me was like, I was flabbergasted, like that. I mean, people cannot work out, whatever the case may be, but you're
still a parent.
You're still a parent. Like those are that's your blood, that's your legacy. That one was one. There's a couple too. I could name.
See, I thought you were going to tell a different one.
Which one? Talk about it.
This person had a baby on his wife and was trying to like pay under the table.
Yeah, that one was good too. But I
keep it quiet.
I feel like people may have known that one. Yeah, he did. He made a whole nother baby
and tried to hide it.
Yeah. and she put him on blast and exposed him, and everybody knew.
The wife put him on blast, or the baby mama.
The baby mama put him on blast, and it was like reported that his wife and him. Yeah, I tried to pay her off to make her be quiet, and she said no, because she didn't want to keep, or he didn't want her to keep the baby. And she's like, I'm keeping the baby. They're like, we will pay you, and she said no.
Yeah, that happened a few times over the course.
I forgot about. I mean, I didn't forget about that one, but that one I feel like.
You know what? That one probably felt the most juicy to me because it was the first time I had heard it, anything like that. That I'm like, oh, this is a regular occurrence,
right? Right.
All right. When have you been most satisfied in life?
Ooh, most satisfied. Ooh, I'm gonna take it back. I think the most satisfied I've ever been was when I was in college. And I'm gonna say why. When you leave home and you go away to college. So I went to college on a track scholarship, and that is the first opportunity you ever get to become an adult. Mm-hmm. So you do everything on your own, right? And so for me, I thought that was so exciting and so fascinating. Mm-hmm. And I not only went to college and ran track, you had to be up for weights in the morning, then you had school, then you had track practice afterwards. I also worked because I needed a car. So I had to pay my car note and my car insurance. And on top of all of that, I also became a collegiate hurdle champion, and our team ended up winning a ring as well. That was the most satisfying for me because I was able to do all of that on my own, and with no help from mom or dad telling me to do anything like that. And I love that feeling of independence.
Okay, that's what I was about to ask.
And I love the feeling of like, I can do this. I got this. I was my number one cheerleader. And one thing about me is if I make up my mind I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So I would say that's my most satisfied because, of course you're going to bump your head here and there, but it's just you. And to me, that was the most satisfying that I would say I've ever been.
You know what? So I can see that because I feel like when you start having family and you get married and all the things, having a family and then get married, while you love your husband, you love your kids, all the things, during the college period, you only had to worry about yourself. Yes. And so if you made a mistake, your consequences were only to yourself. Or if you changed your mind or whatever, it was only to yourself. And you start having kids and stuff, you're like, God damn, I can't. You mean I can't catch this flight? Yes. To Dubai?
And sometimes it's not satisfying. Let's be clear. It's hard, right? Yeah. But when it's just you and you're like, I think it's just such a special time in life. And so when I tell my kids now and even their friends, they're like, I'm nervous. I'm like, you're going to love college. Yeah. It is going to be amazing. It's going to be the best time of your life. I can look back now and still hang on to those memories.
Yeah. I ain't going to lie. College was a blast.
It was so much fun.
And I always thought, because I went to a PWI, that I would not have as much fun as my friends that went to a HBCU, which I didn't have as much fun as them, but I had a blast. Yes. To your point, you remember those
some of the best memories ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
All right.
So my last question, before we get into a little situation, but what would you be doing if Nate was not in the NFL? Like if Nate did not have the NFL experience,
I would be kind of similar. I'd be doing something that I'm doing now, so I would be doing something in a role of, I don't know if it would be podcasting, it could be, but I loved working with kids and I loved implementing plans to help adults and or teachers and or educators and kids get better. So I kind of do that now with my kids and their friends and that role, but I'd probably be doing something like that. I think I may do a podcast, but it would be in a different realm because I feel like this is unique to our experience in the NFL. Yeah. It would probably be something a little different depending on where my educational career took me. So I would say still doing something with kids, whether I'm coaching or teaching or doing more of the administrator role in teaching adults how to work with kids. Yeah. For sure. I love kids.
I could
probably
see
could have had a few more, but we moved too much. It was too much.
I was about to say, wait, Atoya, are you trying to hit us?
No, but
you know what? Y'all do got extra
time.
kids. Y'all got extra kids
We
now.
do, so it worked out. But I honestly, if we were just like in a stable house and we did not move, I felt like every few years, I probably would have had more kids. But I was like, you know what? Every time I get pregnant, we move. So I ain't having no more. This is it.
And you still moved. Like,
I know. This is it. I'm done.
Well,
we stuck like Chuck.
I wouldn't.
This is the longest we've lived somewhere. 6 years in Jersey. This is the longest I've ever lived anywhere.
In one city?
In one city. Like, this is a miracle. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus.
She's like, please don't let it change. All right.
All right, you ready for this game? All right, y'all. We're going to play a game.
Yes.
And it's called This, That, or the Other. And that's basically what it is. I'm going to either call off of this or that, where Tia has to pick the this or that, or it's going to be the other, where she has to fill in the blank. So
we're going to bounce back and forth.
Yes, we're going to go back and forth. I'll start. You ready?
Okay, let's go.
All right. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
I knew that.
Yeah. One thing you despise?
Dirty bathrooms.
Yo, okay. Fair. Very, very fair. Go. Your turn.
Beyonce or Rihanna?
Beyonce.
All day.
Look, Virgo, just like the energy.
All day,
the
say less. Queen bee. That's it.
Egypt or France?
Ooh. I just went to France 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'd have to say France because it was amazing. The city of love. Haven't been to Egypt yet. I might change my mind if I go. Mm-hmm. All right. Boys or girls?
Boys. Look, God knew what he was doing when he gave me boys, okay? We might not survive if I had a girl, okay?
Oh, my gosh. That is so funny. You said that so quick.
Now, even though sometimes I be like, I want a girl. I don't really be want a girl. I got nieces. I can spoil my nieces.
Oh, my goodness.
Concert or movies?
Concerts. I love to go to a concert and sing and dance. That is my love language. I could care less about a movie. Nate knows. He'll put it on and I'll fall asleep. Concerts.
Okay, fair. Atoya and I have had some fun experiences at concerts in Detroit. In Seattle, too. We did Beyonce in Seattle.
We did.
Look, see? Beyonce, I'm trying to tell y'all.
We need to do another concert. It's been a while. Now that COVID's over, we need to do a concert.
We need to do a concert in another country.
That would be dope.
Which is a bucket list item.
Okay, yeah, check that out.
On my 40 before 40.
I love that. I love that. 40 before 40. Mm-hmm. All right. Seahawks or Broncos?
Oh, of course it's Seahawks, but, you know, Russ will always be fam, so I will cheer for him, period.
Real talk. And y'all be nice to Russ. He gave y'all Super Bowl Seattle. Don't forget that.
Look. Y'all better get it together.
Yes. Show him some love and respect. Okay.
Okay. Delta or United?
Well, okay. Ooh, I have to pick one.
And be honest and don't just pick your hub.
I know. United is our hub here in Jersey, but I have to go Delta because Delta's like the top tier for customer service, for time efficiency. It's just clean and they try to make things better. So Delta all day. Sorry, United. Okay, name one celebrity you would love to meet.
Who would I love to meet? I am going to say Michelle Obama. And, you know, people will say, oh, that's typical. No, I genuinely want to meet her.
Yeah.
I think for her to be able to experience what she had experienced, put up with what she had to put up with, and like put her career on the back burner, like all of that kind of stuff is like, okay, I want to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, maybe we can get her on the podcast. I doubt it, but Michelle, if you're listening, can you please come on insideLINES podcast?
Please.
We would be indebted to you forever.
Okay. What's the next country you like to visit?
Oh my gosh, I want to go to Africa. I've always wanted to go.
Which country?
We talked about doing a safari and like going from one place to a next, staying like just enjoying a place for 2 days, going to the next. I don't even know where to start, how to do it, but I know you've done it.
No.
Right? Didn't you do it?
Mm-mm. Remember we planned.
COVID.
Yes, COVID. So
right.
Remember we planned the year. You were always supposed to go to South Africa.
We're doing it together. We're going to Africa, y'all. Inside Lines is going to Africa.
We're going to figure it out. Barku.
Let's go, Barku.
Let's get it together, okay?
Yes.
Yes, let's get it together.
I want to go everywhere there. Like that. I want to experience all of it.
Yeah, no, I've been
Even
of course
Zamunda.
I want to go. Oh, shucks.
Sorry, y'all.
Speaking of
that's coming to America.
I was going to go on a completely different tangent. I'm going to bring it back around. But yes, we're going to have to do Africa. We had planned a South Africa trip. Atoya was going to bring her family.
Yes.
We were going to meet at some point because our kids had different spring break with 4 other families, like 4 of the black families, kids and stuff. It was going to be an amazing meetup, but we shall reschedule that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We know who to talk to. We know how to do it. So we're good.
Yep, yeah. All right. Well, that was fun. We have to do that more often.
Fun. Yes. I hope you guys got to know us more. If you have any questions, hit us up on speakpipe.com/insidelines.
Yes, yes.
And that's our show.
Look at us.
Tia and Atoya. Ooh, ooh.
So make sure y'all check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Inside Lines Podcast. And you can listen online to your favorite episodes at insidelinespodcast.com.
And please rate and review us. Give us that 5-star. Tell us why you love us. We would really, we just appreciate it so much. And tell a friend, y'all. We're on YouTube now. Check us out on YouTube. You can watch us instead of just listening. If you prefer to watch us, you can watch us on YouTube. So there's so many things we have going on now. We're so grateful to you guys. Thank you so much for the follows, the comments, and the feedback, and keep it coming. Until next time, leave it all out on the field. Thanks for listening. See you next week.